Hey everyone, welcome to Mindset Talks, Life Beyond the Checkboxes. I'm John Jermillo, Leadership Performance Coach.
I'm Prati. I'm an entrepreneur and a marketing energy coach.
As your co-host for this series, we want to have real everyday conversations. Prati and I come from different backgrounds in kind of every way. We are two coaches, but it's not two coaches talking here. It's kind of stepping outside of those roles as coaches just to kind of get to everyday conversations on different topics that we found interesting, that we've noted are taking place all around us, things that come up. So that this is where we want to kind of break down those ideas in these conversations. And as I mentioned, things that are all around us. That's interesting because the topic for today is a COVID new normal. So we're now in 19 months of this. I guess this pandemic gripping the country. Most of us went home in March of 2020, thinking it was going to be maybe a week or two, and then we'd go back to work, maybe a month at the most. And here we are, more than a year and a half later. We all know the impacts of what's happened, how many people have lost their battles with COVID, things that have happened within our families, not being able to see each other, a lot of people staying at home full time. And now with the vaccines, things are kind of loosening up a little. People are going back for hybrid. Some are staying home 100%. Some are going back full time. What we can't say is that things are going back to normal. So even if you're going to the same workplace, it's not going to be the same as it was before. I think our ideas have shifted, our priorities. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I think the thing that stands out for me, Prati, is just something like this. This podcast wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the pandemic. So what I've noticed is just my curiosity has grown with the pandemic. When I would network online, it seemed because, and I joked at the time that this was the closest that we got to the end of the world. People were like more open. They were more transparent. They were more vulnerable. So that's why I started my other podcast. And I don't know, it just made me more comfortable, in all honesty, being on camera, discussing ideas with colleagues and friends, and obviously you, of course. But it's woken everybody up. I think the pandemic has accelerated a lot of plans that were in kind of sleep mode, whether it was a company planning to roll something out but waiting for the right time, whether people were wanting to launch businesses. It's kind of like now was the time to do it or not. But just so much has changed, and I think hopefully my hope is that when we go back, because society, it's just going to change every day, every month is going to look a little different than it did the month before. I think hopefully there are a lot of lessons that we could take away. I think the biggest one that I take away is just not to take anybody for granted, anyone or anything, just because you never know when you're going to be separated. You never know when they're going to be taken away. You never know, unfortunately, when they may die or something like that. So it's important to kind of know what is important to us. And I think in the past, we always thought about, well, tomorrow's another day. I'll get to it tomorrow. I think there's a little more urgency in life now. What do you think?
Yes, there is. I think people are more like knowing that you can't really plan for tomorrow, right? Today is all you have. And nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So you're right. But, as things are improving a bit now, right? We are more out and about and we are doing this stuff. We're going back to so-called new normal of COVID new normal. I observe myself like struggling, and I'm sure it's going on with a lot of people. I actually did a corporate a series, like a workshop yesterday. Lead hers, it was, I think, United Women, and we were talking about the struggles of new normal for women, because a lot of women had gotten comfortable working from home, managing. It was a lot easier to manage than going to office. For some women, it has been tough to stay home for whatever reason, and they are ready to go back to office. And what are the
Yeah.
challenges we are facing of going back to normal? Like today, I'm going to an in-person event, and honestly, it's tough. Like, I would rather be in my pajamas at home. Like, I've gotten so comfortable with that. And just like to fact that I have to drive and have to meet people, new people, and there's some people I won't know. I have to get uncomfortable again. I have to do the small talks again. Like all of that is kind of like, mm, I should
Yeah.
do it. I'm sure. Like I don't know what your experience is about going back in person.
I haven't been yet to in person anything really. Whether it was a networking event, speaking, anything like that, I haven't done in person. Everything's been virtual. I just joined the National Association or Speakers Association. Uh, and when I spoke to the president of the Connecticut chapter, I asked her, so what do meetings look like? Are they all going to be virtual? Are they all going to be in person? Is there going to be a hybrid? And she said, no, I think we're going to keep hybrid. I think it's here to stay, in all honesty. And I said, good, because when your normal gets taken away, you can kind of look around and see what you had, what you didn't. So when I had to stay home and I didn't have to, iron my clothes, make my lunch, drive in traffic for like an hour and a half total every day, get
Yeah.
stressed out by the time you get to the office, when you don't have those negative things anymore, time consuming things, you can focus your energy better. So I've spent more time with my sons. I've relaxed a little more. I've been more efficient at work because when you're in the workplace, things are kind of hectic. There's a lot of noise. You can't concentrate as much. So for me, and I'm an introvert, no matter what anybody says about, oh, you got these podcasts, you speak, you're talking for 20 minutes now with Prati, and then your other one is this long. I'm still an introvert at heart. I know a lot of people did, as you mentioned, suffer. I guess suffer is a fine word. It's a decent word because they felt lost without being able to talk to other people or see them in person. For some people, there is a difference about being in person versus virtual. For me, um, I don't know. I think everything virtual was more efficient. My networking was more efficient instead of choosing, and I've said this plenty of times, instead of choosing between two events that are maybe a half hour apart away from each other, um, I went to both. So I signed up for a 5 o'clock. It ended at 6. And if there was another one right behind it, I signed up for that and went into that one from home. So there was a lot of efficiency. For example, like most of the people, I think maybe so far 12 out of the 13 people I've interviewed for my other podcast, I've never met. They're just people that I've met during the pandemic, got to know and understand what the value is that they provide. Um, Prati, with you and your clients, have what kind of change have you seen at all with the clients, with your clients, what they need, what their needs are? Um, has there been a major shift in the way they look at their business? Have you seen different examples?
I mean, my clients, I don't know, they're all virtual clients. I never had in person clients to begin with, and their business is also similar, very digital business. There's no like in person things.
Yeah.
But personally, I can look at both sides because I like going out. I enjoy as much as, again, I like being alone. I enjoy people's energy, right? So I missed that at the beginning, and then now I'm used to not meeting people. So now it's getting tough to just go back to it. So again, I think a lot of women also what I've realized is when I talk to women, they also had to do a lot of work, way more work because they were home more. They were expected to do more, right? So when you go to work, you can close some of that, for a few hours. There was no break for a lot of women. Like they were doing like triple, four times, while working. They had to do, so it was almost like not only have to work, now there's no childcare, like you could drop children to the daycare and then you could go to work. Now that was not an option. So now you have to work while children are there and managing them. They're going to school. They have issues. So I don't know about, but I think it has been a little bit more challenging, and it's both blessing in disguise. Yet more, it came with a lot of challenges, and we had to find that inner like power to just do all the things we had to do and still work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the people with different circumstances. You're right. There are those parents who they had to work remotely, but then they didn't have childcare for their child or children, depending on how many they had. Um, Yeah, I can't imagine, again, different circumstances. I can't imagine being in those shoes,
Mm.
but I can't imagine that them going back to the office and everything kind of going back to normal, childcare opening up is a break from all of that that they had to tackle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it just this points out really how different we are. And you've mentioned energy in the past. We spoke about it specifically for one of these episodes. I think that's another thing that I've noticed is just when you were at home, you had to be very selective about maybe somebody you met in person or those you wanted to communicate with. So you can pick and choose who you wanted to be around a networking group, a collaborator, a partner in crime for business and podcasts like me and you. But then when you go back to normal, it's kind of like you have all these other people taking up your time and you realize just how important these kind of connections are.
Yeah.
Being proactive about going out to find the shakers, the doers, the people that have the same energy as you, but at the same time, again, introvert, so I can relax, so I can turn that on and off when I need to. But I think hopefully my biggest thing is I hope people realize how important their time is and their energy. Sounds like common sense, but hopefully this shows them listen, when I was home, I could select what was worth the risk of maybe meeting somebody or the people that I took the time to talk to like this. Hopefully, when they go back to the new normal, they guard their energy, not to detriment, not, turning people away, but they become more selective. They become more cognizant of the energy they're using and what they're showing people. Because I think too many people held back where hopefully this opened up their eyes.
Yeah, it is. It's being so. I have very mixed feeling about COVID. Like things were good, but at the same time, I don't think I would have survived this isolation without hiking. I mean, just having, my nephew was here, kid, just having them 24 by 7 right in front of my face. I mean, I just remember, because my husband never had a break. He's a car mechanic. He worked in person and he would come home and I would be like, you're so lucky that you get to go to work. And here I am just dealing with your stupid, like I would be effing dogs and 2 kids like whole day. So as
Yeah.
soon as he would come, I would be like, they're yours now. And I would go hiking and running and just being out, just to be alone for some time and not have that. And it was for a whole year. Like it was, looking back, I mean, it was not easy as a parent who likes to work alone and enjoy the time and really so constantly, making lunches. Now they could eat lunch at school, or I could pack the lunch, and I don't have to worry about lunch. Now you have kids at home. Now you have to cook lunches. Like you have to figure all this out. So I'm kind of, actually, I just realized talking to you that I'm kind of happy that things like he's back in school, he's going in person, and as much as I'm hating it right now, hating in the sense I'm so uncomfortable with going into in-person events, I'm actually looking forward to it. So you just made me realize that, like literally by talking to you today.
Just yeah, just realize where you are.
Yeah.
Realize what's important, realize what drives you crazy. I mean that it's okay to be driven crazy by family. Realize that you should have your own alone time. Realize that even though you love your family, you need variety to get out and see new faces. There's just so many realizations and everybody has a different experience. Who knows, we could talk to a third person that has a completely different view of it than we do, talk to like a healthcare worker, a first responder. But
Yeah.
listen, each of us has our own circumstances. We shouldn't take it for granted, but everybody's going to approach it differently and everybody's going to walk away from it with something different. And some people, they won't even consider what happened. They'll just go back to life as normal, and maybe they weren't doing the best things, but there was no wake up call. I don't know. It's just mind blowing how different we all are.
Yeah. So COVID new normal, I think it is, at the end of the day, it is your new normal. Yes, there are restrictions, there are things you still have to follow the rules, but like you said, you got to find your own rhythm and see where you get, energy, or where you need to be doing what's right for you at the end of the day. And that's where you really have to follow those inner guidance and what makes you feel good rather than what everybody else around you is expecting. I mean, at some point, I think offices are going to go back. maybe in a year or two or three or five, I don't know. But eventually things are, we'll forget about it. We will move on as if it's nothing happened. It's a matter of time. But however long, while it's here, enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it perfectly where it is important. I mean, there are times to be selfish. It's it may sound counterintuitive, but at certain points you have to be selfish. Not selfish in that you're taking from other people, but selfish in that you are keeping for yourself, keeping energy, keeping resources, keeping your patience, not losing your patience with kids, meaning you have to put yourself in an environment where you can thrive as well. So I feel for the mothers, the fathers that had to work from home, both in both jobs, both the workplace job as well as parenting. But I think it shows us you may see an uptick in hiking and running just because people had to get out. But I just want everybody to at least see that there were lessons there, and whatever is best for you, start with that. Again, not taking from anybody else, but realizing how important it is to kind of get what you need. Um, and if it took a global pandemic, excuse me, unfortunately, that's, the lessons aren't always going to come from the best scenarios and obstacles, but it's there for the taking.
Yes, 100% agree with you here.
What else did we miss? Did we miss anything?
I think we had a pretty good conversation about the whole COVID new normal. Like everybody's talking about COVID new normal, but again, what is the COVID new normal? Is really you defining it, what it looks like for you. Someday things are going to be, I feel like we're going to be like, we have to do it, right? If you're in a job and they say you have to come back to office, everybody's coming back, it's not going to be easy to say no, but I think there have been a lot more changes in the way we think. Maybe you'll find something like, you know what, I do have a choice. And this is, if I had worked efficiently all this time when it was needed, I can still do it from home. Maybe you'll
Yeah.
negotiate better. I mean, there's so many things, but I think now you cannot unknow that.
That's a great point. And you just brought an even more a better point is just what's been happening, the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
That's the term that they've coined for it, where companies have said come back, and people are like, no, now that I have a good idea of what remote is, that remote can work, and there are companies out there for whom or for which I can work remotely, why am I gonna risk my life? Because some people may see it that way. Everybody's gonna view it differently, but it's amazing. Yeah, you just brought that up where the Great Resignation, people are just saying no, like I'm prioritizing myself, my family over the 9 to 5 or whatever it may be. So,
Yeah.
and listen, the way we talk about it now may be different a month from now based on where things stand. So this is always going to be a moving target as to what's important, what we can take away, but we'll keep our eye on it and make sure that we can keep drawing those lessons.
Exactly. So yeah, make COVID the new normal, your normal. And if you want to stay home, negotiate for that. And if you want to go back, doors are going to be open soon. So you get to choose. You get to choose everything and everything. You want to go to in-person event, great. If not, there are plenty of virtual events. So again, I think we have so much more choices though, regardless of anything.
Yeah. It forces us get creative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm stuck at home. I notice people are publicizing online forums, online networking events, online discussions. I know there are people that create value in the community. Get out there and try something new. So I don't know. I have a feeling COVID is going to impact our future conversations just based on the way things go. But I mean, for now, I think we nailed anything that we could talk about at this particular moment. So we'll see,
Exactly.
Prati.
That's great. So do you want to wrap it up?
Sure. So thank you everybody for watching. Please subscribe where you're watching, subscribe where you're listening. Reach out to us. Let us know what you thought of the conversation. We're open to covering any conversation. If we're open to friends coming on to discuss topics, colleagues, partners, whatever it may be, topics we've already covered with a new insight that they can provide or something that we haven't talked about or covered. So feel free to do that. We're very open to any kind of conversation. The more we can talk about all these different areas, the more that we learn from each other, as we've seen in a couple episodes, and the more that we can share with others. So we're looking forward to just continuing those conversations. Until the next conversation, please take care, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.